Hi students, in this video we are going to study about Bernoulli's principle. Now Bernoulli's principle relates the various energy which is possessed in a flowing fluid, or it relates the various energy of a fluid which is flowing. So first let us see which are the various energy possessed by a fluid which is moving or flowing. Now as we all know, moving objects possess kinetic energy. So the first energy possessed by a flowing fluid or a liquid is kinetic energy, and we know it is the energy possessed by a moving object, and its equation is given by kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, or kinetic energy per unit volume is given by half mv square by v. This v is velocity and capital letter V is volume, and we know mass by volume is density. So kinetic energy per unit volume can be written as half rho v square. Now the next energy possessed by a fluid or a liquid due to its height is potential energy. Energy possessed by the fluid due to its position, and the equation for potential energy is mgh. You are also familiar with the term potential energy and kinetic energy, and potential energy per unit volume is given by mgh by v, which can be written as rho gh. Okay. Now the final energy possessed by a flowing liquid or a fluid is a new term known as pressure energy. Now what is pressure energy? Pressure energy is actually the energy possessed by the liquid due to its pressure, or in a sense we can say it is the energy possessed by the fluid due to the work done due to pressure. The question is, can pressure do energy? For this, let us take the case of a container. Okay, imagine you have a container. It is closed at the top, and the side of the container is connected to a small tube or a pipe. Okay, and this tube contains a frictionless piston, and this container is filled with a fluid, maybe a gas or a liquid. Now what happens? The piston is frictionless, and because of the pressure of the fluid, what happens? The pressure means force by area. The fluid is applying some force to the piston, and the piston will move, and let the piston move through a distance x and reach this position. This distance is x. Now we know work is said to be done if force produces some displacement in the body. So the work done, basic equation is force into displacement. In our case, the force is actually pressure into maybe the area of the piston, so pressure into area, and displacement is the distance travelled by the piston when the pressure is applied, that is x. Now area into distance, or area into length, is actually what gives the volume. So you can write work done by the pressure is PV. Now this work is stored as pressure energy in the fluid. So the expression for pressure energy is equal to P into V. I hope you understood how you got the value of P into V, force into area into the distance moved by the piston. That is, and A into X is volume, so PV, or pressure energy per unit volume. Is given by P. So Bernoulli related these three types of energy for a flowing liquid or a fluid and formulated the Bernoulli's principle. Now let us see what is Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli's principle states that the sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy per unit volume of a non-viscous incompressible fluid in streamlined irrotational flow, which means we are considering the case of an ideal fluid. Ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous, which is incompressible, which is having steady or streamlined flow and is irrotational. Remains constant along the streamline or remain constant along the flow. So sum of potential energy, kinetic energy and pressure energy is a constant for a ideal fluid which is flowing. This is what is Bernoulli's principle. So next we are going to prove, or we are going to derive the expression for Bernoulli's principle. For this we are considering the same case of which we use for deriving equation of continuity. That is, we are considering a flow of fluid through a tube which is having two different cross-sectional area. Okay, so imagine there is a tube having two different cross-sectional area, section A and section B. Section A and section B. Okay. Now V1, let V1 be the velocity of the fluid which is passing through section A, and V2 the velocity of fluid which is passing through section B. Now if delta t is the time interval which we are considering, then the distance travelled or length travelled by the fluid in time delta t will be equal to what? V1 delta t. Similarly, the distance travelled by the fluid in section B in time interval delta t will be V2 delta t. Now this particular portion which we are considering is at a height h1 from ground level, and this portion is at a height h2 from ground level. Let P1 be the pressure of section A and P2 be the pressure of flow fluid in section B. And since we are considering an ideal fluid, we know the density will remain throughout the flow. So ρ1 is equal to ρ2 is equal to ρ. Now when we are deriving this expression, we take into consideration the law of conservation of energy. You know, sum of energy is equal to a constant. So first we have to find out what is the kinetic energy, change in kinetic energy, change in potential energy and work done in this case, and then we equate. For that, first we have to find what is the mass of the fluid which is passing through a particular portion in time interval delta t. So for that, same as the previous expression, mass is equal to volume into density, and volume we know, area into the distance moved. That is, in case of section A, mass m1 will be a1 v1 rho delta t, and mass m2 in section B, that is passing through a particular time point in a particular time interval, m2 will be a2 v2 delta t rho. Now according to equation of continuity, you know, a1 v1 is equal to a2 v2, and according to conservation of mass, all these are the steps which we are going to take while deriving this expression. According to conservation of mass, we know m1 is equal to m2 Now let us see what is the change in kinetic energy of the fluid at section A. Sorry, change in kinetic energy of the fluid. So first we are going to find out change in kinetic energy of the fluid. Is the kinetic energy at B of the fluid minus kinetic energy at A. Since we know velocity will be more at section B, difference in kinetic energy or the change in kinetic energy of the fluid which is flowing through the pipe will be kinetic energy of the fluid at section B minus kinetic energy of the fluid at section A. We can write this as half m1 v2 half m2 v2 square minus half m1 v1 square. But according to conservation of mass, m1 and m2 are the same, so this can be written as half m1 into v2 square minus v1 square. Now instead of mass m, what we are going to write? We are going to write in terms of area, velocity, etc. So the equation can be written as change in kinetic energy of the fluid is equal to half A1 V1 delta T rho into V2 square minus V1 square. Now instead of M1 you can write M2 also, but throughout you have to use M2 then. Okay. Next, we are going to find out what is change in potential energy of the fluid through the tube. This, since H2 is more than H1, and write potential energy of the fluid at B minus potential energy of the fluid at A. So potential energy at B minus potential energy at A. This, potential energy equation is mgh, so we can write it as m2 g is always a constant into h2 minus m1 g h1. And as I have said before, m1 and m2 are same, so we can take common terms outside, so this can be written as m1 g into h2 minus h1. Now instead of m, what should we write? We should write it as a1 v1 delta t rho into g into h2 minus h1. So we got change in potential energy, we obtain change in kinetic energy. Next we are going to find out about pressure energy. For that we have to find out the net work done on the fluid. Next, net work done on the fluid is actually more work has to be done to move the liquid from section A than section B, which means net work done is equal to work done in section A minus work done on the liquid in section B. And work done, we obtain the expression energy due to pressure or work done is equal to what? P into V. So we can write this as P1 V1, that is a volume in section A, minus P2 V2, or instead of volume we have to convert so that we can cut common terms in terms of area, velocity, etc. So we can write this as P1 A1 V1, this V is the velocity, where capital V is the volume, into delta T minus V2 A2 B2 into delta T. Okay, so work done on the fluid is work done on section A minus work done in section B on the fluid. That is P1 V1, where this V represents the volume, it is capital V, and volume we converted in terms of area, velocity and time. We got it as A1 V1 delta T and V2 as A2 V2 and delta T. Now, according to equation of continuity, we know A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. So, the above equation can be written as, according to equation of continuity, we can write A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. The equation becomes P1 A1 V1 delta T minus P2 A2 V2 delta T. From this which all terms, A1 V1 delta T. Now from this which all terms we can take outside, A1 V1 delta T. So remaining we get P1 minus. So we got the net work done on the fluid in a particular time interval. Next we are going to apply law of conservation of energy to find out the final result. Now, according to law of conservation of energy, can write net work done on the fluid is used from what is equal to change in kinetic energy plus change in potential energy. So, what is the equation for net work done? Net work done is given by the equation A1 V1 delta T into P1 minus P2 is equal to change in kinetic energy. What is the equation for kinetic energy? Half rho V1, half A1 V1 delta T into P2 square minus V1 square into rho plus, into the potential energy, it is A1 V1 delta T into H2 minus H1 into rho. What's our next aim? We'll cut the common terms in the equation. So A1 V1 delta T is common everywhere. Now you will get the equation as P1 minus P2 is equal to half rho into V2 square minus V1 square plus rho G into H2 minus H1, because potential energy is mgh. Next, bringing the one terms together and the two terms to the other side, we get the final equation as P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G H1 is equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho G. Or we can write P plus half rho V square plus rho G H equal to a constant. This is Bernoulli's theorem. So, what all steps we took? First, we drew the diagram. then we found out what is the change in kinetic energy of the fluid which is flowing through section A and section B. So we got the equation as half A1 V1 delta T rho V2 square minus V1 square. Similarly, we found out what is the change in potential energy for the fluid flowing through the particular tube, that will be equal to A1 V1 delta T rho G into H2 minus H1. Next, we found out what is the net work done in the fluid while it is flowing through the tube, and we got the net work done is equal to A1 V1 delta T into P1 minus P2. Then what is the final step? We applied the law of conservation of energy, and according to law of conservation of energy, the net work done on the fluid will be equal to change in kinetic energy plus change in potential energy. So we got the equation as P1 minus P2 is equal to half rho V2 square minus V1 square plus rho G into H2 minus H1. We brought the one terms together and two terms together. We got the equation as P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G H1 is equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho G H2, or we can say P plus half pressure plus kinetic energy plus potential energy, that is per unit volume. Okay, pressure energy per unit volume, kinetic energy per unit volume, pressure energy per unit volume. The sum is equal to a constant. This is Bernoulli's theorem. Now, the main disadvantage of Bernoulli's theorem is it can be applied only to ideal fluid, the fluid which is non-viscous, streamlined, rotational, and the one which is not compressible. Only to those liquids or only to those fluids we can apply Bernoulli's theorem. That is the main limitation of Bernoulli's principle. I hope this derivation is clear to you. Thank you.